Hi everyone, Matt Samosky here. So you made a decision to purchase a car and that's super excited, but what to do next? So in today's video, I'm going to tell you about a few things that you absolutely should consider doing before you start your car shopping in order to put yourself in a better position, or so to speak, in the driver's seat of a car before you even start shopping for one. If you want to know what those things are, then stay tuned. All right, guys, so first things first, when you're shopping for a car, the first thing you really need to establish is your finances. Okay, and by finances, I'm going to tell you about, okay, you're going to need to figure out whether you're going to pay cash for the car or whether you're going to finance the car. Okay? If you have money saved up, and maybe that was saved up for the specifically buying a car, then you should be able to just walk into a dealership and negotiate the price, pay for it, be done with it. Okay, certainly that has some advantages, buying car for cash. One of that is, I just told you, you own the vehicle, you get the title for it, and you can do with it whatever you want. You can give it to somebody, you can sell it, you can recoup some of the money back. The second big deal about paying cash is you'll never be in the position of what we call the upside down. And the upside down is meaning that your car is worth less than what you owe on it. Okay, why is that important? It's important for two reasons. Well, first of all, you don't want to have something that's worth $10,000 that you owe $15,000 for. Okay, it might not be a big deal until you get into one of a few situations where it becomes a big deal. One of those situations is, hopefully you'll never be in one, but you get into an accident and the insurance company decides to total your car. When they total your car, they will pay the bank the current value of the vehicle. So let's say if you owe $15,000 but the car is only worth $10,000, they're going to pay off $10,000 to the bank. Now you have $5,000 loan on the car that doesn't exist. That's been totally taken away by insurance company. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing, it's less drastic, but it's also a bad situation. That's if you decide to trade in this car and get something else. When you decide to do that, you actually would either have to pay down some money in order to get a new car, or some banks might allow you to carry some negative equity into the new loan. And that means that you're going to owe more on the new car, so you'd be upside down on the new car right away. So that situation is bad as well. Anyways, so that's paying cash. You don't have to worry about that. Now, if you're financing the car, here's a couple things to consider. When you're financing the car, first of all, the experts, which I agree with, they say that you should never spend more than about 10% of your income, monthly income, on the car payment. Because that would put you at about 15 to maybe 20% of your income on your total car cost. And that means car payment, your insurance payment, your gas, your maintenance on the vehicle, that adds up. So that should not be more than about 15 to max 20% of your income. That would make you probably feel comfortable if you don't have that big nut. So things to consider. Now, how to figure that out? Well, obviously, I don't know your income, so you take your income, take 10%, let's say it's $3,000 a month, you should never spend more on the car payment than $300, okay? So that's easy, okay? The next thing is to figure out of what you can afford, okay? As far as, you set up your payment. When you set up your payment at $300, what can you afford for $300? Well, there is a few things that go into a loan. A very, very important thing is the interest rate. So what I would suggest is that after you figure out your monthly payment, is that you would shop for your rate. Okay? And I'm not talking shopping for a rate by going from dealer to dealer to dealer, or maybe going from bank to bank to bank and filling up credit applications, putting inquiries on your credit report. getting approved, getting declined, getting pre-approved, all that stuff, I would simply go to the internet and find out, first of all, if you don't know what your credit score is, go to Credit Karma maybe, or go to annualcreditreport.com and figure out what your credit score is. Okay? It might not be exactly the same as the dealers will pull, but at least it will put you in the situation where you know whether your credit is excellent, good, it might be medium credit, might be subprime, or very, very deep subprime. And why is that important? That's important because that's going to dictate where your interest rate is going to fall in. So your interest could be as low as 0% financing if they have specialists, but that's reserved for people with excellent credit. It might be, 2 or 3% when you take your regular loan financing, but if your credit is subprime or below subprime, that interest could go up to 20%. 19.9% financing. I've seen that before. And that also is going to affect of how much car can you actually buy. Now also, the other thing to consider when you're looking at your monthly payment is also a down payment. A down payment is the money you put down on the vehicle and then you finance the rest. Why is that important? Because in addition to paying a price for a vehicle, you're also paying some fees and taxes that are associated with purchasing the vehicle. If you don't know what those fees are and if you have to pay them, I just put the video up not too long ago about fees. So go watch that video and see if what those fees are. So if you pay those fees, they're generally amount to maybe 10-11%. So that's why, again, the experts, and I agree with them, they advise you to put at least 20% down on the car. That's going to prevent you from being in the upside down position, and it's going to put you right in the equity position when buying a car. Well, if you don't have that money and if you're in a position where you absolutely must buy a car, there's a lot of banks with the good credit. They'll finance the whole thing. They'll finance the car, they'll finance the taxes, and you still can get the car. So that doesn't stop you from buying a vehicle. But it's important to know that it is recommended to put money down as down payment. The third thing is once you figure out of how you're going to pay for this car and how much you can afford and actually what's the total price of the car that you can buy, maybe is to actually find the car. So first things first, if you figure out the total price of the car, you need to figure out of what would be your actual target net price for the vehicle before all the fees and taxes. So let's jump on the computer and I'm going to show you really quick of how to back out all the fees and taxes from the total price of the vehicle. All right, everyone. Well, it's going to be short and sweet, so pay attention. You can also freeze frame it, rewind it, however you want to do it. But in this short clip, I'm going to tell you of how to deduct all of the taxes and fees from the total price of the vehicle. Total price of the vehicle is what we call the out the door price. The out the door price, that includes all of the fees and taxes, registration, and license. If you're not sure which fees you should pay or you shouldn't pay, you can check out my video that I just posted not too long ago on fees to see which ones are real and which ones are BS. So we're going to do it on the example of Illinois. That's where I live, and that's where the current tax rates, that's what the current registration, that's what the current documentation fee is as of today. So when you have $30,000 and this is your total out the door target price to spend on your vehicle, first you need to deduct fees that are non-taxable. So those are fees in case you don't know, this is a license and registration in Illinois. It's about $326 currently. So we deduct that from the total price of the car, $29,674. We also deduct a beautiful double tax for the county that I live in. It's a flat tax on every brand new car that's sold in Cook County. That's only $15, but that's also something to consider. So I deduct the $15 from here. Now we have after tax amount of $29,659. In order to find out what that pre-tax amount is, you need to divide it by 1
8.0, and then your tax rate. In the county that I live in is 8.25%. So we're going to do 825 without that 0.25. So that's just 1.8025. And here it is, 27,398.61. That's the pre-tax price on the car. Okay, 27,398.61. Then we're going to have to deduct is the fees that are taxable. And documentation fee in the state of Illinois is $300. If you don't know what documentation fee is, please check out my previous video. I have a good explanation of what it is and whether you should pay it or not. Chances are you most likely will have to pay it. So you make that before the documentation fee, you make that your target price of the car so you don't go over your budget. So if you're at $27,098.61 or less, you're going to be within your budget. If you go over that, you're going to be above your budget. I hope that was helpful and simple enough. See you in another clip.
All right, so that was how to calculate the net price of the vehicle, right? Now let's go to the second portion and let me show you of how we can calculate of what you can actually afford once you already know what your monthly payment is. Hopefully you shopped for a rate or at least know what the rate range is going to be. So I'm going to show you how to calculate the total price of the car based on your monthly payment.
All right, so if you made it this far in this video, that means that you probably took my advice and already figured out of what is your rate, what's your interest rate. That means that you either looked up on the internet, checked with your bank, maybe even get pre-approved, but you know what that rate is, or at least the rate range. That's going to help you tremendously when shopping for a new car to figure out where you are, where you're going to be in your payments, if you know the total amount, or where you want to be as a total amount if you know what your payments are. So there's a simple calculator that's actually built in Google. So I just type in car loan calculator, and you can see I've been there before because it's one of the suggested ones, and here's what comes out. The first page right there, you don't have to click anywhere. This is it, car loan calculator built on Google. Let's take a look at what we see here. So what's pre-filled in here already, I didn't put that in. The loan amount is $25,000. Interest rate is 3.11%. Loan period is 60 months. These are all fields that you can change based on your situation. So let's change that. From the previous example, we're going to see at $30,000 total price of the car at 3.11% interest. Let's change that to 3.9 just for the sake of argument, and we're going to come up at 60 months, which is 5 years. And that's, by the way, is probably the longest that I'd recommend taking out the car loan, unless there is 0% interest on the longer term loans, and that 0% is not in lieu of some incentives that might be better for you. But we're going to get to incentives in another time in another video. Just concentrate on this. So at 3.9, 60 months percent financing, $30,000 loan amount, your payment is going to be $551, and your total cost of the car loan, which is right here, is going to be $33,069. That means that you're going to end up spending $3,000 in interest. Okay, why did I say that? It's very important to know of what your interest rate is, because check this out. Let's say 3.9 interest is a good credit interest rate. Let's say your credit is not so good, and you're going to get 7.9% interest. See what it does to your payment. And it goes up by about $50, and the total interest also goes up to $6,411. That's a lot of money to spend on interest, but that's not it. I've seen interest rates as high as 30%, I mean, the 19.9%. I don't think it's legal to charge any more than that unless you're your own company. Then you can charge pretty much whatever you want. However, you know, most of the banks, let's say it's going to be at 19.9% financing. $47,589 is the total cost of the car loan. $17,500 in interest over the period of 5 years. You could have bought 2 cars for the price of 1. So if you're in a situation where the dealer's telling you or where the bank's telling you, ma'am, sir, you're not going to qualify for lower rate. The best we can do 19.9% financing. I would really consider alternative sources of transportation. For now, if you can't, maybe buy a cheap car that's going to take you from point A to point B for a little bit of time, build up your credit, get your better rate, because it's really throwing money in the garbage if you're at 19.9% financing. Okay, so that is how to calculate your monthly payment based on the loan amount. So if you know what the loan amount is, you know what the interest rate is, you can change your loan period, or stick to 60 months for the sake of this example. But if you know what that is, that's how to calculate your monthly payment. Let's go reverse. So you know what your maximum monthly payment can be, whether it's on that 10% rule, or maybe you set yourself budget and you said, hey, I can't spend more than $400 a month on a vehicle. Okay, if your credit is not that good, you're going to end up at 19.9% interest financing. Still don't recommend buying it. It's still $9,000 cost of the loan, but you can buy a car for $15,130. That includes taxes, that includes the fees. So you're probably going to end up buying a car for somewhere in the 13.5 range in order to be at 15.1 out the door. Anyways, if your credit is really good, and let's just stick to the 3.9% financing. I know the interest rates vary. They can be lower, they could be higher, but for the sake of argument, here's how much more you could have bought if your credit was good. So instead of 19.9, 3.9% financing, instead of $15,000 to borrow, you got over $21,000 that you can borrow, and you're going to end up at $24,000, which is the same exactly, 60 times 400. That doesn't change. The total cost of the car doesn't change, but that leaves you with just about $2,300 in interest, right? So not too bad. That's a lot better than $6,000 in interest or $10,000 in interest. Anyways, here's why 0% makes sense, okay? Because the total cost of the loan is the total cost of the loan. There's no added fees. You can every penny that you put, it goes towards principal because there's no interest. By the way, an important thing about car loans too, that there might be something that I don't know about it, but most of the bank loans, like the real bank loans, I'm not talking about the buy here, pay here, but they're simple interest loans. And what that means that they are that you only pay interest on the unpaid balance for the time that you have the loan open. So in other words, if you pay it off sooner, you're not going to pay that full interest that is listed on the total cost of the car loan. If, let's say, you have 3.9% financing, right? And your loan period is for 60 months and you want to pay it off sooner. So you can kind of figure that out. Okay, what if I made extra payments, and how much of the extra payments I need to make in order to get to my payment? Well, that's the other way around. So let's say, okay, we have that 21,773, okay, at 60 months we were at $400, right? And in order to pay that off a year sooner, you'd have to make like $91 extra every month on top of your amount to save yourself a year. Not only save yourself a year, but also you save yourself about $500 in interest. If you want to pay it off in 36 months, hey, you're going to have to spend $642. That might be a good target for some people if you want to, accelerate your payments. This is kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to do and how much it's going to reduce your term by. All right, so hopefully this was really helpful. You can spend some time on it, and I encourage you to spend a lot of time trying to figure out different scenarios as far as the interest rate, the loan amount, the loan period. Keep in mind, a lot of banks will go as long as 84 months, but the loan amount has to be over a certain amount. 72 is pretty standard right now since the prices went up on the cars quite a bit. So if you're looking at the same loan amount at 3.9% financing for 72 months. Instead of paying $400, you'll be spending $340, but your total cost of the car loan is going to go up by another $455. Just food for thought. I think that this is very helpful, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to spend some time on it before you actually go car shopping. So, see you in the next clip.
All right, so we're moving right along. You already figured out of how much you can spend on the car. You figured out what your budget or what your target price on the vehicle is. You figured out your payment and all that stuff. Now it's time to pick a car. I'm going to show you a website that I use for my research purposes. I mean, there's tons of them, and you can really research yourself out of buying a car or maybe get some bad information. I mean, if you stick with this just one or maybe two websites just to compare it, you know, it would be a lot easier. And this is the one that I would recommend. So let's take a look.
All right, so I promised you that I'm going to show you a website that I would use to research the cars. There's plenty of them. If you choose a different one, that's fine. I won't get offended. The reason why I choose Calibluebook is that it's been around for a long, long time. Their information has been reliable for me in the past. I don't see a reason why I should change that. But, you know, another good one is Edmunds.com. That's been around for a while. You can also check out some of the automotive magazine websites like Motor Trend has a way for you to shop for a vehicle as well. But let's stick with Calibluebook. You can choose whatever you want, but I'm going to show you of how to figure out of what you can afford. You already figured that out, but what car can you buy for within your budget? And in this video, we're going to talk only about new vehicles. There's going to be a separate video about pre-owned vehicles because there's so much more that really is going into buying a pre-owned vehicle than a new one that it deserves its own video. So we're going to do price new and used. By the way, the link to this website is at the bottom, and it's basically kbb.com. It's really, really easy. So when you go here, you scroll down because you know your budget, but you're not sure maybe what type of car you want, and you look at browse new vehicles by price. Now stick to the same budget of $30,000. Let's see, you can buy what you can buy under $30,000 without any filters, without anything. We're just going to go in here and see what's available for under $30,000. Now, if you're like most people, you probably know what type of car you want. Maybe you don't know exactly the make, the model, but you know what type of car it is, whether it's a two-door, four-door, SUV, minivan, pickup truck, whatever that is, you have an idea what you're shopping for, right? Well, hopefully you do. If you do that, you can actually scroll down and go by category and see all those different categories on the left: sedan, SUV, truck, minivan, and so on. You can check that, and it's only going to filter down the results based on your search criteria. If you're not sure which vehicle you want, you should probably spend some time and figure out your driving habits, your family needs, you know, whether your family is getting bigger, getting smaller because kids are going to college. Maybe you need a bigger car, smaller car, faster car, convertible. Maybe you want to use it for business, so you need a pickup truck. So ask yourself those questions before you actually set for a vehicle. How much you drive, how many miles per year do you drive? Super important questions. Not only it's going to help you pick maybe a vehicle that is a lot more fuel efficient, or if you drive a few miles a year, you don't really care about that. Anyways, so let's take a look and let's just see, say that I need an all-wheel drive vehicle. Nothing else is super important. The most important feature that I need is an all-wheel drive because I live in the area that gets a lot of snow and I really could use an all-wheel drive. Okay, all-wheel drive vehicles, here's everything that comes out, and it comes out sorted by expert rating from high to low. So it looks like the highest rated is Honda CR-V SUV with a starting price of $27,670, and followed by Toyota RAV4, followed by Toyota RAV4 hybrid, and there's other vehicles below that. So depending on where you want to set your budget. Now these are all cars that have a starting MSRP of less than $30,000. It does not mean that you're actually going to get this car for less than $30,000, because if you choose a Honda CR-V as an example, starting MSRP 26,170, it goes all the way up to 35,870. So it depends on what features you want on the vehicle, what models you choose. You can well exceed what you're looking to spend. But this is a good example because the average price range is going to fall right around $30,000. So you can probably get a nicely equipped car for right around there. So let's take a look at this, and here's how I would do it. All right, that's $30,000 is what you want to spend. That means that you can buy a car for 27,000. Whatever your down payment is, and on top of that, let's say you're putting 20% down, which is, well, probably about $5,000. So your total buying power with taxes, with everything, should be about 35,000. Okay, that should put you right there at the very top of the CRV family, which is a CRV Touring. You might not need Touring, so you explore the options that it has to offer, and you go for the one that really fits your needs. Again, spend some time on this website, check out the different options and packages that are available. I'm just going to price this particular car for the sake of an example here, and see where it's going to come out as far as pricing. So pricing on this car, this is a tab that's really pretty cool as far as Calibluebook has. It has the MSRP, right, of 35,870, and it says a fair market range right here. If you look at this portion here, is between 31.6 and 34.3. This is an average of what people spend on this particular car. So the fair purchase price, they give you a target price of 32,986, and that is probably around invoice, or maybe a little bit lower than invoice for this particular car. So it's a good start if you don't know of where to start shopping for a car. All right, we're going to go back a few pages back, and another cool feature that this Calibluebook offers as well is when you have all those cars listed, but really not sure of which one to pick, and you should probably consider maybe 3 or 4 different makes and models to start with, so you can then narrow it down to the car that's perfect for you. And so there you go. So we're back in the main screen, and there's a compare feature right here on the right hand side. And what you can do is you can click on the vehicle that you want to compare. And unfortunately, this is sensitive, so it takes you to the car. So I'm going to back out. Still keeps the box checked, and I want to compare this to Toyota. So I'll click Toyota on. All right, we'll go back because I don't want to be in this screen. And then maybe I'm going to go back. We're going to talk about the hybrid versus non-hybrid in another video. But let's say, okay, Subaru Forester, that falls into the same really category like the RAV4 and the Honda CR-V. And then let's pick another one, because you can compare up to 4 cars. And the reason I'm showing you this is, all right, Mazda sounds like a really nice car too. Okay, and then you can choose whichever ones you want. I saw a Hyundai there as well, which I definitely would include in my search if I was looking for a smaller SUV. But you have 4 of 4 selected here, so click compare, and then you can remove the one that you don't want, and add maybe a Hyundai or a Nissan, or maybe some of the domestic vehicles that you're looking for, and compare it based on that. So you have 4 cars, right? Instead of kind of going through the manufacturer's website and figuring it out on your own, you can do it right here. So Calibluebook, what it does, it also gives you a green check mark right here when the car is winning in a certain category. So let's say consumer rating in Mazda CX-5 is the highest rated, and fuel economy, Toyota RAV4, and so on and so forth. When you scroll down, you can see that not only the basic features are important here, but also safety features, technology, entertainment, comfort and convenience, performance, seating, interior, exterior, security, mechanical. What's really important is dimensions, weight, and capacities. Might not seem like a big deal for a lot of people. However, this front headroom, legroom, ground clearance for people that are a little bit bigger, super important. I've seen people, walking into a dealership just to sit in the car and say, too small, okay, not going to fit in there, and move on. Anyways, so again, spend some time on this. Another thing to point out, like we said, a lot of stuff that is here, 27, those are starting MSRP, and you can easily, go way over that. Few things to keep in mind. For example, Honda, since I worked for Honda before, so I know that pretty much every single Honda CR-V LX that's being sold to dealerships is equipped identical. They're the same equipment. The only thing that you can add to is the dealer installed accessories. Pretty much all of the rest of these cars are package driven. So these are the base MSRPs. And then let's say if you want to add something, they usually have some sort of things added to them when they're at the dealership. Let's just take Subaru because it's fresh in my mind. I helped somebody buy a Subaru not too long ago, and we went through that before. So I remember when the Honda CR-V top of the line touring was about $35,000, and in the Subaru, the top of the line model, it is a touring as well. So let's see, touring model. Okay, now here is packages. Something that you should really pay attention to, because a lot of dealers will not have a basic vehicle that is on the lot. So let's say Popular Package 2. What does that include? Popular Package 2, rear bumper cover, cargo net, all-weather mats, inside automatic day-night mirror with compass, home link, garage door opener, automatic day-night mirror with approach lights. Okay, so you might not want it, but this might be the only option that is available to you that is at the dealer's lots right now. They might have to order a car without any packages if you don't want it. So for the sake of comparison, we'll hit price without added options. It seems like this car compared to a CR-V, which had a target price of just about the same. See, MSRP 35,605, invoice 33,276, and I want you to be at the target price of 32,596, which is about $800, $700 less than invoice, which either means that this vehicle is very competitively in a very competitive market, which means dealers are going into the holdback and they're selling it for less invoice, or maybe they have some incentives on it. So I encourage you to spend some time on this website. I hope I've given you enough information to at least get started. This video would be over an hour long if we really started digging into some of the vehicles, and I don't think anybody's got that type of time to watch it. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you liked it.
All right, so in today's video, we've already covered the budget, the types of financing, whether it's cash or finance, how to figure out your monthly payment, how to figure out your total price based on your monthly payment, and how to start your car shopping. That was easy. That was exciting. Now, in my next video, I'm going to tell you of how to negotiate with car dealer. So if you haven't already, please hit like, hit subscribe at the bottom of this video, and I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.